All right. AJ, can you hear us?
I got you. You hear me?
I have you. All right, we are going to get started. We're going to roll straight into questions for AJ. If you have one, please raise your hand. We're going to get to as many questions as we can in the time that we have with him. And to kick us off, we're going to go to Trey Downey with MRN. Go ahead, Trey.
Hey, AJ, thanks for doing this. Want to look ahead to you getting back in the Cup car next week at Phoenix. Just how much are you looking forward to that? And with the Cup car being so different from the Xfinity car now, how are you going to balance, driving the two different cars on the same weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's I haven't really thought about it a lot. It's part of the reason why I'm sitting in my car right now. I had left the shop today to sit in the seat and get everything comfortable. The call. You got me? I'm sorry about that. Is that on my side?
Yes, but we have you back now. So all good to go.
I was trying to find a place that actually had some that had enough bars that this would work. So
no problem. Well, you can start answering Trey's question again. That's totally fine.
Yeah, sorry, Trey. So to answer your question, that's part of the reason why we're having troubles here. I just left the shop and was doing seat fittings for or getting ready for Phoenix, but I haven't looked too far ahead of it. The Coliseum was fun. I feel like our cars have been fast at Fontana. Daytona is completely different. So for me, I'm looking forward to it, but honestly, not looking too far ahead. Kind of focused on Vegas this week for Xfinity, and then our Xfinity stuff for Phoenix, since that's a racetrack that we've been weak at. But I'll have a lot of fun with it once we get in it, and it'll be good to kind of get in the flow of the Cup races, because I'll do that one, not do Atlanta, and then I think I got 3 or 4 in a row after that.
Just want to get your take on Phoenix as a track as a whole. You mentioned that you struggled a little bit there in Xfinity. Just your take on the track, and then was that one that you specifically went to Colleague and said, branching out your schedule, that's one that I want to do in the Cup car?
No, I mean, Phoenix is a racetrack that I've actually always enjoyed. Even though we like on the Colleague side of it, we've struggled a bit there in the 2 races now that I've done there. But I actually enjoy the racetrack. Sometimes the PJ1 or the resin or whatever they put down, I wish they wouldn't put down, because it kind of makes the track more of a highline racetrack. I like running the bottom there. But it's a racetrack that I feel like that I can keep improving on. It was just, Chris had me map out 15 or 16 races I wanted to do, and Phoenix is always a racetrack that I enjoy. So figured the extra laps, the way we've been there, won't hurt. So that's part of the reason why I chose that race.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question will go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, AJ, how does the fact that you have to use the same car this week in Xfinity as last week kind of impact things for this race?
I mean, for us, I felt like I did a pretty good job of trying to not use the race car up too much. I mean, that's tough to do when you're racing and you're trying to get everything you can out of the race car, but it came away fairly clean, and I felt we had good speed in the car. It was just a little bit tight during the race, but overall, I felt like it was a car that had a lot of speed in it. Felt really comfortable. So at least on the 16 side of it, I'm okay with having to use the same car, because I thought it was a good race car, and we can kind of focus on what that car felt like last week, even though Fontana and Vegas are a completely different racetrack, but kind of the same aero package that we had in it, and kind of build off of what we did last week.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will go to Matt Weaver. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Jay, thanks for taking some time today. 2 for you. Putting your TV analyst hat back on for a second, what do you think about what you've seen from the next-gen car so far? Because it looks really snappy loose, but also fun to drive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Coliseum was a really good race. Like for the racetrack, I felt like it was going to be so tight and you weren't going to be able to pass anybody and the cars were going to be tough to drive there. But it was a lot of fun in it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it put on a really good race. The cars were fun to drive, at least in my feeling around the Coliseum. Daytona, it's super speedway racing. I thought it was unique in certain ways, like the runs weren't quite as big there, but it would still put on a great race there at the end. And then Fontana looked like it was a handful, but that's what we want as drivers. That's everything. That's what we've talked about. The high downforce, low horsepower package of the car the last couple years on those racetracks. I didn't feel put on great races except for restarts, and I felt like Fontana with this car was a handful. We saw a lot of guys making mistakes. We saw a lot of cars that were good early and weren't as good late, and vice versa. So overall, I thought it was a great race. And at the end of the day, you want the cars difficult to drive, and that's what we asked for. And it seems like that's the way they are.
And then secondly, we're talking to Josh Berry later today, and you've raced against him for a year now. And he's kind of a rookie in the traditional sense from a NASCAR standpoint, but also super decorated in his short track background. So what do you think of him so far a year into his full-time NASCAR endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, Josh is super quick. And for me, I feel like he picks up these racetracks really, really quick. I kind of laugh. Everybody, in the Xfinity series, everybody's super aggressive. So he's definitely one of them, but heck, so are the rest of us. So I don't think that really changes much. But yeah, I mean, what he's able to do and pick up these racetracks, especially the bigger ones, the 1.5 miles and the 2 miles where he was really fast at Michigan last year. He's been really fast a lot of these racetracks, winning Vegas last year. So it doesn't surprise me how quick he picks up these racetracks because we see in all the late model and super late model stuff that he does. I mean, he's one of the ones that you've had to beat, it looks like, for the last several years. So he's quick. Junior Motorsports is really, really good at a lot of these racetracks. So I feel like he's going to be one of the ones that we have to beat in the championship.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question will come from Zach Sternalino. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, AJ. So 10 Cup starts at Las Vegas, 2 Xfinity starts. How has this track aged over the years? Has it changed how you've had to approach it from a driver's standpoint? Does it feel like it's starting to wear a little bit more now? I know it's typically been a low wear racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, the bumps have gotten a little bit worse in 1 and 2, but it hasn't aged like tremendously to the point where all of a sudden there's no grip on the racetrack. The first race last year, the spring race, the track had a ton of grip in it and a lot of speed. And then when we went back in the summer, it was slick like you'd expect because it's so hot in Vegas. The weather looks really cool on Saturday. So I think you're going to have a lot of speed in these race cars. The track's going to be super gripped up. So it hasn't worn out a ton. It definitely wears out tires a little bit more. As the run goes on, the lap times you can see fade a bit, but it's still not crazy compared to some of the racetracks that we go to. So I've always enjoyed Vegas as a 1.5 mile racetrack because both ends are a bit different the way you drive them. There's some character on the racetrack, but at the same point, you don't feel like you got to flip the setup upside down when you go there from one race to the next. So I feel like for how long the racetrack's been out there, it's kept up really well. And, the racing, you can kind of predict what it's going to be like. It widens out enough where it's just not a one group racetrack. So I think over the years, it hasn't changed a lot besides getting a little bit bumpier. And then, and it's been like this ever since I've been there, when it's cool there, it's got a lot of grip. And when it gets hot there, it gets really slick.
And also, obviously you had 2 really good runs last year with a win and a 7th place finish. Is there anything about the track that you feel like fits your particular driving style or that you've been able to figure out?
Well, I mean, I think it's for me, like when the car's good, you can run the bottom and I need to get better at running the top at times. Vegas, I've been able to run the top there and find speed, but some of these racetracks you have to go up by the fence and to make any type of speed. Sometimes I'm not the best at doing that, and it's something that I'm always continuously trying to work on to be better at. But definitely when the track hasn't it, you can get the car working around the bottom, and I felt like in the spring race, that's where we were really good. The car rolled the white line, and I could hook it and stay on it for longer than a lot of the cars. So that fits me a little bit better. But it all comes down to setup. The first race, we had the setup dialed in, and we were especially the last run there, nobody was going to catch us. The second race, the track got slick, and we didn't quite have the setup where we wanted it, and we struggled a bit. So, a lot of these racetracks, it's about getting the car to where you want. I definitely, when the bottom works, I get through there pretty good, and that's where I find my speed.
Thank you.
All right, our next question will go to Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Hey, AJ, and I know it's early with the new car in Cup, and I'm just curious. Obviously, the traditional way of moving through the ranks is go Xfinity to Cup, and I'm curious about what the adjustment is like in going with the two cars now. Is the jump even greater than what it had been in going back and forth, or is it coming closer together because of the cars, or is it still too early to kind of tell? As you see people make that move, what kind of a challenge is that for drivers?
Yeah, Dustin. I mean, I think it's at least for me, I haven't driven it enough yet to know exactly, how hard these cars are to drive. The Roval, I felt like there's a lot more pace in the car. The brakes, you could brake so much later. You could kind of hustle it on a little bit more. So, the Coliseum was such a unique racetrack. It was tough to tell, but trying to watch it of especially Fontana, the car slide around, and I although it's probably a different way, the way they slide around, the Xfinity cars, there's a lot of downforce on them, and you definitely slide around in them, and that's what makes these race cars so much fun. So I feel lead the bigger last couple of years, the Cup car to where it was almost like a truck, and it was about momentum and a lot of downforce and restarts and things like that. So maybe if the car's sliding around like it is, and
All right, hang tight for just a minute.
you got me.
Oh,
Yep.
You're back, AJ.
Yep.
We can hear you now.
About that. Yep. I did not pick a good spot to park. I apologize to everyone.
But you were just saying, AJ, that you felt like it sounded like you're talking about in the past, the old car was kind of a little bit more like the truck, and in terms of momentum and restarts, where this, even though there's still, you haven't been in it as much, as maybe a little bit more like an Xfinity car was sliding around, not as much downforce. Yeah,
and I didn't, just to kind of finish that off, Dustin. I mean, it's hopefully, time will tell as we figure the car out and drive it more. But yeah, I mean, I did feel like the high downforce, low horsepower, that was like a truck, and the Xfinity car became kind of like on its own. Hopefully, it brings it closer to an Xfinity car, and the young guys that are in the Xfinity cars are kind of get that driving style, and it's closer back to the Cup car.
Is there a particular a talent level or skill, I guess, that it would help with an Xfinity driver? If this kind of ties along with the Xfinity car and that moves in that direction, does that help a particular skill set or not, do you think? Or you still got to be overall talented because of all the different tracks and challenges?
Yeah, at the end of the day, talent is what it's all about, and the cream rises to the top there, and but if these Cup cars kind of continue to be this free and things like that, a guy that can drive the car on the looser side and be fast. We saw, let's see, Reddick at Fontana. Driving it by the fence and being able to drive it free. I mean, he had, to me at least, looked like the race dominated until the problem that he had. So if you're able to drive the car free and still have speed in it, maybe it lends itself to that's, you know, the driving style that you have to have, but it still comes down to talent. I mean, when you have somebody talented, you know, Kyle Larson wins races and championships because he's talented. Tyler Reddick runs up front right now because of all the talent. He's 2-time Xfinity champion. So, I mean, it still comes down to how much talent you have and adapting your driving style to how the car's reacting.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, we'll take one final question from Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Amanda. And it's good to see you again, AJ. Couple of questions for you. My first one really is about how you have the dream team lined up at Colleague on the Xfinity side with Landon Castle and Daniel Hemrick. And the thing I thought about with you three is that you both have had to be part-time drivers before you got your full-time opportunities. When you think about that commonality, how much do you think that's going to help grow a Colleague and help you guys out with the Xfinity Championship runs?
Yeah, Rob, I mean, I think it comes down to that we've all, between myself, Landon, and Daniel, we've all had our ups and downs, you know, for different reasons and things like that, but we've had to claw and scratch at times to just stay in the sport. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to win for ourselves first and then for the team. But, you know, I think there's a different mentality when we've all had those ups and downs of A, you got to enjoy it when you're here. B, you have to just work as a team and kind of work through things. And, you know, maybe there's, even though you want to win, it's not that extreme of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I'm young and I just want to prove to myself and I want to move up to the next level. So it's been fun. Daniel brings a lot of knowledge. What I like about Daniel is the fact that he's driven so many different Xfinity cars now for different companies that he can bring that knowledge to Colleague Racing and say, okay, this is what I felt with a Joe Gibbs car or back when I was with RCR or the Junior Motorsports car. And that helps me because all I've driven really, besides early in my career, is a Colleague Xfinity car. So this is all I know. So he brings a good knowledge of what was different at different places. And Landon, you know, Landon's still trying to get his feet under himself a little bit, but he's going to be so good and so fast. And same thing, he's driven a lot of cars, so he brings a different knowledge to it as well. So that's what I really enjoy about the relationships that we have, and it's going to continually build as the season goes on, and it's only going to make Colleague Racing stronger as a whole.
For sure. My last question is, I know you have Vegas coming up, which you want at, but is there a certain track that you're looking at on the first quarter of the Xfinity Series schedule that you're going, yep, this is going to be my chance to get my first one of the year?
Well, you know, Rob, I try to have the mentality that that's every race. There's definitely racetracks we know we got to be better at, like Vegas. If we get our setup dialed in, we can definitely go win there. Phoenix, you know, I have confidence in myself in Colleague Racing that if we get the setup right, we can go win there as well. But that's definitely a track that we struggled at. So you got to take small gains there to try to be better. At the end of the day, you go there with the mentality to win. But, you know, we go running the top 3, top 4 all day. That's better than we've been there in the past. Atlanta, we have no idea what Atlanta is going to be like. So to me, really COTA, because we ran okay there, but I thought that was a turning point of our road course program of making it better because we got, you know, for lack of better terms, I'm sorry for my language here, we got our ass kicked by Kyle Busch there last year. Like, we finished second, but we got destroyed by him. And I felt like that helped us figure out some things going to the next road courses, which made us a lot better. So I'm looking forward to going to COTA with the stuff that we've learned over the second half of the year, or really from COTA on our road course program, to see where we're at, because we were okay there, but we were never close to Kyle Busch. And I feel like we've made our stuff a whole lot better there. So I'm looking forward to going to COTA to see if that kind of the setup that we've worked on at the other road courses because of COTA, we come back and we have that set up and if we're a lot faster there.
Sounds great, AJ. Hope to see you at COTA because I'll be covering that race.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob.
You got it, man. All
right, AJ, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for working with us on the connection. We really appreciate it. And we wish you the best luck this weekend in Vegas.
Sorry about that. Well, I'll try to be home the next time I do this, but thank you all for everything that you do. I appreciate it.